Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you're deciding to watch this set of videos. This is my third take trying to make this video, so hopefully this one works and it doesn't get too technologically out of my hands. What I want to go over in these sets of videos are kind of our overall expectations for the lecture and the lab, so what you can expect to encounter in this class and sort of classroom community things, as well as finish off this section with a discussion about weather versus climate. So this is what we would do in our first day of labs. And to also be clear, sort of a little bit further on how this class works, every Monday and Wednesday, in this case for fall of 24, we all meet together for lecture. It's about 48 of us total. It is a full class. And then on Mondays, half of us kind of split off, or half of us stay for lab. And then on Wednesdays, the other half of us stay for lab as well, or afterwards. So you should know which lab day you're in through your web schedule. If you need any help with figuring that one out, let me know, but you should be able to go to, I think, your Gator page and figure out and look at your schedule and see which one you're signed up for. If you happen to need to miss a lab one day, say for example, you have a doctor's appointment or something happens that you can't come to lab, say on Monday, and that's your normal day, you are welcome to come to Wednesday's lab instead. Do definitely just let me know, just so I'm kind of in awareness about what is going on with that. But generally it's super A-okay, and you don't have to come to both days, you just have to come to one or the other. And that's where actual attendance is kind of taken. So that's where it's part of your grade, is in the lab section. So with that, let's go ahead and get into what we will be talking about today. So let's see here. What will this class be like? And what will we be discussing in meteorology? So something that tends to be kind of thought out here, I guess, is, I don't know, this meme is silly, but listen, I'm a millennial, so memes are pretty good. So the weather is awful, can't go to class. The weather is beautiful, can't waste it in class. Usually the beginning of the semester is when that tends to be kind of a quote-unquote problem for the fall semester, because our Indian summer is, when we tend to be the warmest is September and October and the nicest outside. So maybe you'll be like, oh my gosh, it's so nice outside, I can't go to class today. Oh no. Just keep in mind that you are throwing away money if that is the case. So do still try to come to classes if you are all well and good to do so. Anyway, some things to not expect would be our exams. So our tests, our one exam and our one final, to be based solely on our PowerPoint slides, right? So if you decide to not come to class and you just rely on the slides that I post, which I do post all of your lecture slides, and any other resources that you need, if you try to just look at those and pass the class, that's not how this is going to work. What you can expect for your exams is, things we're going to talk about in class discussions, any sort of extra readings we may do, PowerPoint slides, plus your guided notes. This is not just a class where you can just F off and just not show up and just look at the slides and get an A. That's not how this class works. I also want to just kind of, in this first day, kind of get off that point that this class is going to be based purely on forecasting. We do a lot more in meteorology than just forecast. I will certainly teach you how to forecast, and it is a very fun little process, but it's, not everything that we do in class. Some other things you can expect are sort of assessment questions in every class meeting. So I will often share out broad questions to the class. Something like, when you hear the word pressure, what comes to mind? And I really do try to encourage you to participate. It doesn't even have to be related to science sometimes, and I'll try to be really clear on, kind of putting that out there. But I will try to really assess your understanding with every class. I may also, we're not going to do clickers, right? I'm not going to make you buy a clicker for this class. If you have one, great, but I'm trying to, keep costs as low as possible. But we might try to do things like Kahoots or some other sort of software that I can find of just like scanning a QR code or something and trying to get the class to be more participatory for everybody, especially if you're someone who's a little bit quiet. So do expect something like that in most classes. And you are going to be so good at spreadsheets and making graphs. It might be a little bit of a learning curve at first, and that is super okay. It normally is for a lot of us, but it will be great. You're going to get the hang of it super quickly. I pinky promise. Okay. And graphs are going to come so easy to you by the 5th graph that we make. Yes, this class is a lot of graph making. I also very much encourage active learning and discussion with classroom community, which I will address in the next video. And I do also want you to expect to be challenged, right? So when you think about weather, and maybe you think about all the times that you heard the meteorologist on TV say, the weather is going to be this certain way, and then it ends up not being this way. And then you're probably like, why is that meteorologist always wrong? Well, guess what? It's hard. It's really hard to tell the future. But some concepts may come super easy to you. Some concepts may not come super easy to you. And that's okay, right? That's how our brains work. That's how all of us work, right? We're not all masters of every single thing on the planet, right? So just know that it is challenging. This is not an easy A class, I would say. But I think as long as you come to class, do the work, be engaged, and you'll be just fine. And you'll be able to get an A. Earning an A, it's earning it, right? Earning an A, it's very, very doable. I would argue that it's actually pretty hard to fail my class. So as long as you're turning things in, you're making an effort, you're coming to class, you're communicating with me when things are going amiss, you'll be just fine. Okay. So not an easy A, but an attainable A if you put in the work, and it's really hard to fail. So that's just overall expectations for my course as a whole. And then in the labs in particular, we're going to do it's kind of a little bit more informal in a way. So we get to do more things like current weather discussions. We do current weather discussions in lecture anyway, but just not as in-depth because we don't have as much time in lecture, right? We only have 50 minutes in lecture, and it's truly, truly not enough time, to get to everything current weather-wise. I will also often find things on Reddit, which is my social media of choice, and the relevant things. They're generally not things that don't matter, but we will watch things that I find that are related back to weather. Here in California, we don't get fun weather really that much, and so it's really awesome to be able to show you weather things that happen elsewhere. We are also, if you're watching this in the fall of 2024, we are going into a predicted to be very intense, tropical weather season for the Atlantic Basin. So that might be some crazy stuff to be able to share. So we'll take some time to kind of look through those sorts of things. We're also going to be doing hands-on activities that will help you apply what you've learned in lecture, do computational practice, graphing practice, etc. And we're also going to be doing some work on projects. So you have 3 main projects in this class. Honestly, if you're coming to lab and working on labs, you won't have that much extra outside of class time to spend on this, if you spend your time wisely, which is entirely up to you. I very much encourage you to use this time wisely. As it says in this last bullet point here, students often complain about the workload. That's usually the biggest complaint that I get in student evaluations, but I give you the time to work on this stuff in lab. It's just whether or not you choose to use that time. You know what I mean? So the time is literally carved out in your schedule in order to complete those assignments. The labs themselves are generally meant to take you about 3 hours to complete. Some may take you a short amount of time, some may take you longer. I am also known to have Netflix and chill days. Near the very end of the semester, there's a couple of shows on Netflix that show like some really cool video footage and sort of like documentary style footage of tornadoes is one episode and hurricanes is another episode. So I recognize that the end of the semester is usually pretty difficult for a lot of us, and so I try to reward us a little bit for all of our hard work and facilitate that in class. More on all of that to come, but yeah, so the take-home message, I suppose, is to come to class, engage yourself in class. Don't just sit on your phone and scroll while I'm trying to talk and be engaged with you, or be shopping on Shein, which you should be shopping for Shein anyway. So come to class, be engaged, talk with me, talk with your classmates, and you will do just fine in this class, I promise. Okay? Thank you so much for watching this kind of course expectations or lab expectations vid, and there will be another one to follow with Classroom Community. Thanks for watching.